Have you been studying English for a long time? Today we are going to look at how we use the words for and since in the present perfect tense. The word for can be used in many ways, but since is often used together with the present perfect. Okay, let's first check you know what the present perfect is. Well, let's go back to my first question. How long have you been studying English? This is the present perfect continuous tense. You can see that it is present perfect because you have the auxiliary verb have followed by the past participle been. It is also continuous because the past participle is followed by the verb study in the continuous or ing form, so studying. If there is not a third verb, then it is just present perfect. For example, I have lived in Holland for a long time. Let's go back to the question I asked at the beginning of the lesson. Have you been studying English for a long time? The answer to this question would also be in the present perfect continuous, and we need to use the words for or since. For example, I have been studying since 2002. Or you could use phrases like last summer, January, last week, yesterday, this morning. I was 12 years old. I was a teenager. I moved to England. So you see that all the phrases talk about a time in the past. So use since when you want to use a time or date. You use for when you want to say how long you have been doing something. Have you been studying for a long time? Yes, I have been studying for 15 years. You can also use phrases like I have been studying for weeks, months, years, for ages, forever. Let's have a look at some more examples of questions and answers. What have you been doing since I last saw you? I have been living and working in Spain. How long have you been a vegetarian? I have been a vegetarian since I married Julie. How long have you known that Peter was ill? Since last Monday. He told me at work. Did you notice in the last example, the second sentence starts with since? When we are talking, we often leave out parts of the sentence. What we really mean to say is, I have known since last Monday. Because this is so obvious, we do not say the complete sentence. We start with since. What about the second example? Do you think it is possible to make that shorter? Yes, we can also shorten that. Instead of saying, I have been a vegetarian since I married Julie, we would answer the question with, since I married Julie. Remember, this is done when people talk. It is not usual to shorten sentences in formal or academic writing. Here are some examples with for. How long have you been a policeman? I have been a policeman for 5 years now. How many years have you lived here? I've lived here for 7 years. How long have you owned an aeroplane? For ages. I bought it when I was 19. Just like the sentences with since, you can also shorten the sentences with for. How long have you been a policeman? For 5 years now. How many years have you lived here? For 7 years. Well, before we end this lesson, let's just check when you use for and since. For is for a period of time, like years, months, or days. Since is when you use a date or a time in the past. Check out the grammar sheet and have a go at the exercises.